Thanks to Squarespace for sponsoring today's video.
I declare bankruptcy!
Bumbling idiot, sharp-minded businessman, awful boss, or kind-hearted lonely kid. If you've ever watched The Office before, you'll know that Michael Scott is more than meets the eye. For all of his ridiculousness, from grilling his feet on a George Foreman grill to his seemingly uncontrollable need to crack "that's what she said" jokes, Michael also has a very human side of him. One of my favorite moments in the series is when he shows up to Pam's art show. No one else from the Dunder Mifflin group, well, ignoring Oscar because he was being a jerk, showed up to support Pam on that day. But Michael Scott, he wasn't just there. He was gushing, he was enamored, and he even spent his own money on one of her art pieces.
How much?
You want to buy it?
Well, yeah. Yeah, we have to have it for the office.
I think what people spend their money on is very telling of where their values lie. And in Michael's case with Pam's art, his value is in friendship. It's in supporting someone that he cares about and in making the office a place to be celebrated. With Michael's money in mind, I wanted to spend today's video financially auditing the character of Michael Scott. If you've seen any of my other character financial audits before, you'll know that I love to dig into what these characters are spending and saving and whether they can truly afford the lifestyles they're portraying on screen. Go check out my other financial audits after watching this one. I've done one on Carrie Bradshaw, the Friends group, Emily in Paris, and most recently the Gossip Girl gang. And don't forget to subscribe to keep up with new videos. But first things first, as with any financial audit, we need to understand what money is coming in and what money is coming out. So let's start with Michael Scott's income.
Pay stub?
Are you serious? You earning this?
Plus perks, yes.
Mike, this is barely more than I make. You've been here 10 years, dog.
14 years.
Oh.
Michael is getting underpaid. There's no getting around that. It is why Daryl laughed in his face upon seeing Michael's pay stub, because he was barely making any more as a tenured manager compared to the guys in the warehouse who'd been there a fraction of the time. How much exactly is Michael making? The show never gives explicit amounts, but we do know that he's a regional manager at a mid-sized paper supply company, and based on real-world estimates I found in similar positions in Scranton, Pennsylvania, his salary would likely fall between $60,000 and $80,000 per year. My guess is that in that salary negotiation episode we just saw a clip of, Michael's pay stub was showing closer to the $60,000 range, because that would get him pretty close to what a warehouse manager like Daryl might be making or asking for. Don't get me wrong, $60,000 is a nice paycheck, and in a lower cost of living area like Scranton, Pennsylvania, you could live comfortably. But for a branch manager that is overseeing a big team and has been with the company for 14 years, I think the dude's getting ripped off. At one point in the series, he even takes up a second job to supplement his income.
I just love sales, and I don't get to do enough of it as a manager, so I took this second job, kind of as a hobby.
Eventually, Michael does negotiate his pay up, so let's say that he ends at the upper range at $80,000. Again, not bad, but realistically and based on data we know about job hopping, there's a really good chance that Michael could have made way more money if he had not stayed at Dunder Mifflin for 14 years. What can we say? He just wanted to be in there for a long time.
That's what she said!
So at $80,000 a year, Michael is bringing in $6,700 a month pre-tax, and based on Pennsylvania's tax rate, his after-tax income is around $5,000 a month. That income is likely dropped to zero during that stint when Michael, Pam, and Ryan split from Dunder Mifflin for the Michael Scott Paper Company. As cool as their vibes were, the company wasn't exactly thriving. They struggled to find clients, and no clients means no money. What they really could have used was some better way to get their brand out there, you know? Phone calls, pancake luncheons, I don't think so. What they really could have used was a great website. Maybe they should have used today's sponsor, Squarespace. Huh. What a concept. But seriously, think about it. Squarespace is simple and intuitive enough to use that even Michael Scott, or worse, Ryan, could have made an incredible website that looked amazing, really captured that Michael Scott aesthetic, and brought in business with its suite of tools. For example, they needed clients, right? Well, Squarespace helps clients find you by having a professional digital presence, offering intake forms to turn visitors into clients, and helping you optimize your site for searchability. And once you have clients who are interested Granted, Squarespace offers something called Acuity Scheduling that gives you everything you need to manage appointments, accept payments, send automatic reminders, and more. Making changes or customizations to your Squarespace website is incredibly easy and, dare I say, fun. Whether you're thinking of starting your own paper company or you have your own other kind of business that's not paper related, Squarespace is a fantastic platform to use. Right now, you can head over to squarespace.com/Cara Nicole to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain using the code Cara Nicole. You can use the link in my description below or scan the QR code on screen so that they know that I sent you, and a big thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring today's video. So to recap, Michael is making about $5,000 a month post-tax. But how is he spending that money? See, when we think about being rich or doing well financially, we often think solely about the money coming in, like what is our salary? But if you're making $500,000 a year and then you're spending $490,000 of it, are you rich? What if you're spending more than $500,000 a year? Now you're just actively losing money. Bottom line is that getting financially secure isn't always about making more money, but instead getting a handle on how we spend the money we already have coming in. With that in mind, here is what I found about Michael's spending. For his housing, Michael lives in a condo that he bought in Scranton, Pennsylvania. Based on historical listing data I found, my guess is that Michael's condo was around $80,000 in the early 2000s, meaning he was probably spending around $900 a month total on housing. This includes mortgage, of course, but it also includes other hidden housing costs like interest, insurance, taxes, and utilities. So Michael has $4,100 a month left after his housing expenses, which honestly is pretty great. He's only spending 18% of his post-tax income on housing, which is below the 30% rule a lot of people use. Though to be clear, the 30% rule is certainly not a one-size-fits-all. I think that as your income goes up, you should definitely try to spend less than 30% on housing, but that's just my opinion. And so with $4,100 left a month, we are looking at spending categories for Michael that include necessities like groceries, health insurance, gas for his car, but also discretionary spending, aka the things that you don't need, but you want. These include things like eating out, random shopping, and vacations. And at first glance, you would think that Michael isn't a big discretionary spender. He's not the flashiest guy, he wears the same rotation of modest suits every day, and he seems to drive the same 2004 Chrysler convertible. But the dude likes random shopping. Oscar and him have a whole scene where we get a peek into Michael's spending.
Okay, the green bar is what you spend every month on stuff you need, like a car and a house. The red bar is what you spend on non-essentials, like magazines, entertainment,
Right.
things like that. This scary black bar is what you spend on things that no one ever needs, like multiple magic sets, professional bass fishing equipment.
How did you do this so fast? Is this PowerPoint?
Now, I'm about to do some wildly rough guesstimations based on that bar chart, but if we say that Michael's other necessities like groceries and gas and insurance add up to a total of, say, $700 a month, then his total for the essentials category is $1,600 a month. Because remember, we established earlier that his housing costs are $900 a month. Based on the bar chart, it looks like the middle bar of normal non-essentials is 75% of essentials, which would equal $1,200. So now we are at $2,800 of spending a month total, leaving $2,200 of his post-tax paycheck. If we stopped there, Michael would be crushing it. That would be a fantastic breakdown that gives him thousands of dollars to invest and save a month. He could set up a healthy emergency fund. He could invest in retirement. He could probably even retire early. I've shown this visual in a video before, but this is the wealth multiplier chart by the Money Guys. And it shows the incredible power of invested dollars over time, especially the younger you start. With Michael being in his 40s, if he was investing at least $2,000 a month, he could absolutely be a millionaire by typical retirement age. Maybe, just maybe, he would even have enough money to put at least one of the Scott's Tots through college instead of the uncomfortable disaster that we ended up having.
Local businessman pledges college tuition to third graders.
That I will not be able to pay for anybody's tuition. I'm so sorry.
I literally cannot watch that episode without making this face the whole time. But alas, Michael Scott is not on track to be a millionaire based on the bar chart that we saw. It looks like his unusual non-essential spending is at least double what Michael spends on essentials. Double $1,600 and you have a whopping $3,200 spent on things like magic kits.
A lot of people think that magic camp is just for kids, and that's why so many other people in my class were kids. Go!
Altogether, we're estimating that Michael's total monthly spend is $6,000, with 26.7% going to essentials, 20% going to normal non-essentials, and 53.3% going to his other wacky non-essentials. For those keeping track of his expenses against his income, yes, Michael is indeed spending $1,000 more a month than he is making. This is not what we want. This is a recipe for debt and stress and instability, all of which Michael faces throughout the series.
If I had money problems, would I do this?
If I'm going to play armchair psychologist or financial advisor for Michael for a second, I think that he suffers from what I will call shiny object syndrome, meaning he always has some new fascination that he wants to try out and pour money into, but he's also a major people pleaser. He desperately wants everyone to like him, and he often spends money in the pursuit of that.
Disappointing just one person. And I really hate disappointing everyone.
People pleasing can be a huge financial problem. Not being able to say no, the inability to assert financial boundaries, the overspending so that others aren't disappointed, that kind of behavior leads to giving out money that you can't afford to give, or spending on a house or wardrobe that you think other people will like you for, or refusing to part ways with people who are financially bad for you. On that last point, one of Michael's biggest financial mistakes in the show was dating Jan Levinson. Now, at first glance, we don't think about relationships being a financial topic. It feels unromantic, I guess.
I don't talk to my girlfriend about money. It is rude and unsexual.
True. It's best to hide our money problems from women.
I totally agree with you.
But there's a quote that goes, "You are the sum of who you surround yourself with." And that applies to your finances too. The financial mindsets of your friends, your family, your romantic partner, those will influence how you approach money in your own life. And for a romantic partner that you share finances with, the impact is enormous. I seriously think that who you choose as a partner is the biggest financial choice that you make in your life. So you have to be careful about the partner that you choose. For Michael, Jan, who he dated for a couple of seasons, was not a good financial partner. She wasn't a great partner for a lot of things. For one, she digs him deeper into credit card debt, as we see in the scene when Oscar is reviewing Michael's credit card statements.
This is a lot of credit card debt.
Yeah, tell me about it. You know, Jan has my credit cards and she's using them as if I'm made of money.
Jan's spending habits and expectations of lifestyle were something that Michael just couldn't afford and was actively pushing him into a worse financial position. That kind of financial dynamic is unhealthy for any couple. It creates stress and fosters resentment, which is exactly what you see happening from both Michael and Jan in the series. A good financial partner would instead encourage both parties to live within their means. They would be working on a shared budget together, communicating openly about shared goals, and sticking to the budget. Now, luckily, Michael does eventually move on from that relationship with Jan, eventually getting engaged to Holly, who I'm a big fan of. I really think that they're great together, though I do still worry about them because they're so similar. I feel like they're both going to suffer from that shiny object syndrome and overspend a little bit.
Acting!
Plus, even without Jan's negative influence, we know that Michael just does not have a great grasp on financial choices, like when he bought Holly's engagement ring.
There's a ring?
Holy is that real?
Yeah. They say 3 years salary.
Since we placed Michael's salary at $80,000 a year, that ring was probably $240,000. Dude is certainly not paying for any Scott's Tots tuition anytime soon. So overall, Michael Scott is the story of a guy who's done well for himself income-wise, but absolutely has a spending problem that he needs to get under control. He has good people around him like Oscar who could help him form a budget, but it'll really come down to whether he can stay on track, dig deep, and come together.
That's what she said.
With that, I am calling it there on the financial audit of Michael Scott. I had so much fun writing this video and researching for this video because I got to go through a bunch of old office scenes. I hope that you guys liked it too and maybe even found it a little educational along the way. Let me know in the comments below who you'd like to see me financially audit next, and don't forget to check out my other character financial audits like my recent one on the Gossip Girl gang. Thank you so much to my patrons and those on Buy Me a Coffee for supporting this channel. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!